The Witch and the Definitely Dead Detective by Sadie Brent, Chapter 26, A Festive Distraction. The first thing Evie noticed as she unlocked the door to Silver Sage Naturals that morning was the crispness in the air. The small town of Stony Fork was embracing the season, with municipal workers bustling about the square, stringing twinkling lights along the street lamps. Bright red poinsettias adorned planters by the sidewalks, and a faint scent of pine mingled with the cool breeze. Evie stepped inside the shop, the familiar smell of herbs and candles wrapping around her like a warm hug. Spinks darted in ahead of her, his tail swishing as he hopped onto the counter, where he began surveying his kingdom. The door jingled as two cheerful workers from the municipal office walked in. One of them, a middle-aged woman with rosy cheeks and a Santa hat perched jauntily on her head, waved a flyer at Evie. "Morning, Miss Hutchison," she said, beaming. "We're handing out flyers for the annual window decorating contest. All the businesses in town take part. It's a big deal around here." "Oh, I've heard of it," Evie said, smiling as she took the flyer. The bold red letters at the top read, "Stony Fork Window Decorating Contest. Let's make the holidays shine." The woman leaned in conspiratorially. "The theme this year is a storybook Christmas. Perfect for a shop like yours. The judges, well, all the townsfolk, really, cast their votes anonymously during the festival. It's all very democratic. And competitive," the man beside her added with a chuckle. "Beauty and the Braid almost beat Beans and Books last year. Hugo Bates barely edged out Al. It's serious business." Evie chuckled, glancing at the flyer. "It sounds like fun. Thanks for letting me know." The woman's smile widened. "We'll be looking forward to seeing what you come up with. Oh, and don't forget, the winner gets a free booth at the Winter Festival. Perfect for showcasing your goods." As they bustled out, Evie folded the flyer and placed it on the counter. The idea of decorating her window filled her with a strange mix of excitement and melancholy. Lizzie would have loved this, she thought. She turned to Spinks, who blinked lazily at her. "What do you think, buddy? Should we give it a try?" Spinks flicked his tail in what Evie decided to interpret as agreement. Not long after the municipal workers left, the bell above the door jingled again, and Evie looked up to see Hugo Bates stepping inside. He was bundled in a dark coat and scarf, his muddy brown eyes sparkling with uncharacteristic warmth. "Good morning, Evie," he said, his English accent crisp. "I thought I'd stop by on my way to the shop. The town's positively buzzing with holiday spirit, isn't it?" "It really is," Evie replied, smiling. "They just dropped off a flyer about the window decorating contest." "Ah, yes," Hugo said, his eyes lighting up. "I've won 3 years running, though I suspect Al's determined to dethrone me this year." Evie laughed. "I hear it's a fierce competition." "It is indeed," Hugo said with mock gravity. "But I had an idea, and I thought you might like to collaborate. Since our shops are both on the literary side, what if we coordinated our displays? We could choose a Christmas book, a Christmas carol perhaps, and each decorate a scene from it." "That's a fantastic idea," Evie said, genuinely impressed. "Which scene were you thinking?" "I was planning to recreate Scrooge's transformation in my window, his joy and redemption, all very festive, of course. Perhaps you could do the Ghost of Christmas Past." Evie nodded thoughtfully. "I like that. It's whimsical and fits the theme." Hugo's smile widened. "Brilliant. I'll have some mock-ups drawn up for my display, and I'll send them over. And of course, if you need any help gathering supplies, just let me know." "Thanks, Hugo. This will be fun." As Hugo left, waving cheerfully, Evie couldn't help but feel a newfound appreciation for her bookish neighbor. Maybe people just didn't take the time to get to know him, she thought. He came across as stuffy, sure, but his ideas were creative, and he seemed genuinely kind. When James materialized a few moments later, Evie couldn't resist mentioning it. "Hugo stopped by. He suggested we coordinate our Christmas displays. He's surprisingly thoughtful, you know." James raised an eyebrow, his ghostly form hovering near the counter. "Hugo Bates? Thoughtful? That's not a sentence I expected to hear." "Don't be so hard on him," Evie said, shaking her head. "I think his English sensibilities just make him seem distant. He's actually quite charming." James crossed his arms, his skeptical expression unchanged. "If you say so." Later that afternoon, while rummaging through the storage room for Christmas decorations, Evie stumbled upon an old wooden box tucked away in the corner. It was dusty and unmarked, but when she opened it, a wave of borrowed nostalgia hit her like a freight train. Inside were Lizzie's holiday treasures, a collection of delicate ornaments, hand-sewn garlands, and a tiny ceramic nativity set. A small notebook rested on top, its cover decorated with holly leaves and berries. Evie opened it to find Lizzie's neat handwriting detailing ideas for Christmas window displays from years past. She traced the words with her fingers, her throat tightening. Lizzie's love for the holidays was woven into every entry, from sketches of snow-covered cottages to notes about using natural elements like pine cones and berries. The last page simply read, "Remember to make it magical." Evie smiled through her tears, clutching the notebook to her chest. "I will, Lizzie," she whispered. "I promise." As the afternoon waned, Evie returned to the shop, the box of decorations in tow. James appeared by the register, his expression softening when he saw her holding the notebook. "Lizzie's?" he asked. Evie nodded, setting the box on the counter. "She had all these ideas for Christmas displays. I'm going to use them for the contest." James smiled faintly. "She'd love that." Evie hesitated, then added, "Hugo's idea about a Christmas carol. It actually fits perfectly. Lizzie even had a section in her notes about using book themes." James' expression darkened slightly. "You're giving Hugo a lot of credit these days." "He's not so bad, James," Evie said, sorting through the ornaments. "Maybe people just need to give him a chance." James didn't reply immediately, his ghostly form flickering as he leaned against the counter. Finally, he said, "It's not Hugo I'm worried about, Evie. It's Marcellus, or maybe even Mabel. You're seeing the best in people, and I admire that about you, but you can't ignore the warning signs." Evie sighed, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "I hear you, James, but right now, I just want to focus on this contest. Lizzie loved Christmas, and I want to do her proud." James nodded, though the worry didn't leave his face. "Just promise me you'll stay careful." "I promise," Evie said softly, though the weight of his words lingered long after he disappeared.